Morning, everyone. Morning, it's 9 o'clock. Well, I think it's about 10 seconds to go. I know you can't say good morning back to me because everyone is muted at the moment. So some of the housekeeping rules are that we just, Cheryl will unmute you at the end of the presentation and you can then ask as many questions as you'd like. And also in the chat group, I mean, feel free to post things there. We have got some of our team online that can answer any questions you might have in the chat group. Yeah, thank you very much for your time today. I see we've got a great turnout. So I'm going to be demonstrating how the BarnOwl workshop module works today. So yeah, I think, and the presentation and the recording will all be on our website probably within a day or two. So you don't have to make too many notes. There are quite a few slides and the info sharing tip of the month. Also, there's some detailed guidance on how to use the BarnOwl workshop module. So I'm just going to share my screen. Hopefully everyone can see it. I'm also just going to turn my camera off if you don't mind. Cheryl, just let me know if you can see that. I think you can, hopefully. Good. So it's always a bit confusing maybe to know when you can use the, I'm just going to maximize that. When you would use the RCSAs, the risk and control self-assessments, compared to the BarnOwl workshop module. So the workshop module is really designed to work in a single venue with keypad voting or not keypad voting, but really for everyone to be in the same venue and to be discussing the risks and workshopping them. The risk and control self-assessment is really where the administrator of BarnOwl can send out via an email link the ability to rate to the risk owners or the control owners for the owners to rate their risks and their controls on a regular basis. So RCSAs are very, very used extensively in our client base and is really a good way to get that ownership and accountability for risks and controls. But the workshop module is fun and it gets people together in the same room. The difference also is in the workshop module, you can capture new risks and controls. So it's designed for risk identification. And then the idea to, you could do a separate workshop or the same workshop to rate your risks and to introduce controls and rate controls, either with keypad voting, it's anonymous keypad voting, or you can, just have consensus and a discussion if you don't have the keypads. The risk and control self-assessment is only voting really online, but with your existing risk registers. You can't add new risks and new controls. The workshop module operates online and offline. So that's very, very useful. If you're going to a conference center or something like that and you don't have great connectivity, it's always safer to work offline. The risk and control self-assessment is always online. So it's an online risk and control self-assessment. Both registers, the risk and control, the workshop operates in moderation mode. Whether you're in online or offline mode, nothing is updated directly to your risk register until you actually close the vote and save. You get a chance to accept and the results, and only then is it updated to the live risk register. So we call it the moderation mode. The same goes with risk and control self-assessments. The voting can be conducted by more than one person on a risk or a control, and it's really the administrator when he or she closes the vote. Then you can update the registers, update the voting results into the BarnOwl Live registers. Just what's required. So to do the desktop, to do the BarnOwl workshop, you need what we call a desktop license. It used to be called a rich license. We're now calling it the desktop license. And the keypads are optional. And we work closely with Participate. On RCSAs, what's really nice there as well is that you could have one administrator of the votes, and it's quite powerful because you can set up recurring votes, and you can set up templates and all sorts of things, and you can actually send these recurring risk and control self-assessments out to as many people as you want within your organization, with the ability just to kind of filter out who the risk owners are and who the control owners are. So if you've populated that, it'll automatically send those risk and control self-assessments to the relevant to the relevant people that own those risks and those controls. So I hope everyone can hear me. Sorry, I can't see my notes or anything, and please ask questions in the notes if you want to, or keep your questions and we'll open the floor at the end. So I will keep going if it will behave. Page down. So key features. Okay, I can now see some of my notes popping through. Key features, it's configurable. So you can actually set up the workshop to include contributing factors, not include contributing factors, which fields you want to be included on your workshop. I'll show you how to do that. Imports existing risks and then identify new risks. So that's some of the features, the online, offline, we've discussed and covered. The keypad voting, I'm going to show you how that works. So that's I've got some keypads here. I'm going to act as a few people today. I just want to see, sorry, oh, I'm not screen sharing now. Thank you. Sorry, I don't know what's happened here. Just bear with me. Sorry. Thank you for letting me know. Can you see that now? I don't know how it lost the screen share. Seems to be when I go into presentation mode. Good. I can see a hand up, but I know you can't talk at the moment. Just please post that in the chat group. Keypads, graphical reporting. I'm going to show you how the reporting works, and then update the workshop results. The most important thing are these steps. As I say, this presentation will be shared, and so will the recording. You can configure your workshop, import your current risk registers, take the workshop offline. I'm going to show you how to do that. Conduct the workshop, so in an offline environment with participants and the voting keypads. View the workshop results within the workshop. Then look at once you've completed the workshop, the administrator would close the workshop, accept or reject the workshop results, and then update the BarnOwl risk register. Synchronize the offline database back to the live database and view your updated risk register. So I'm going to, as I say, there are quite a few slides here on how to do this, the next slides here, but I'm going to leave the slides now, and I'm going to go into the system just to show you. So I'm just I am using this database. Hopefully you can see my screen. It looks like you can. So I'm going into the desktop version, and I'm going onto the online database. So, and I've just set up a dummy unit here called ABC12. And just to give you a quick idea of what's in the existing risk register there, I've got, and I'm just going to apply a favorite view just to make it a little bit easier. So you'll see that I've got a couple of risks here: strategic risks, economic and financial risks, market, operational. So this is my existing risk register. I've got a couple of contributing factors, a couple of controls, an action plan. So your standard structure, market, your risk, your contributing factor, your control, your action plan. So that's how I've structured this risk register. A lot of people don't use contributing factors. The public sector use contributing factors or causes, which is probably a better methodology, but some people go straight from the risk to the control. But BarnOwl does support the whole bow tie methodology. So if I now view, so you view the workshop register, so you'll see I'm on ABC 12. I have done some testing, which I'm hoping stands me in good stead today. So I'm going to create a brand new workshop. So I'm going to say a workshop. You can either say, I'm going to say new from existing, means that I've already created a template. I'll show you what that looks like. I've got a template there, and I'm just going to call this Strategic Risk Workshop 2025-02 underscore 3, for example. It's a third. You wouldn't do 3 workshops in a month. You can include the data from the original. I'm just going to leave that out for now. Click on OK. And you'll see, so this is the setup. This is what an administrator would do. So you see I've got the risk title, the template, and this is now where you can tick what you would like to include, which tables and what structure you would like to include in your workshop. So you can see I could go straight from risks to controls, but just in this template, I want to include risk actions, means risk action plans. I do want to include contributing factors. I do want to include contributing factor controls, and I do want to include action plans. So that's just my structure. There's a little bit of workflow built into BarnOwl, where you can actually send a workshop. Once you've conducted the workshop, it can go through a review process. Or you can have different permissions. Only a final person can update it to the live registers. If you look at each of these tabs, this is where you can tick which fields you would like, including all your custom fields. So if I looked at the risk tab, I want to see the reference, the description, the category. I don't want to see, in this case, the risk earnings, the ranking. I do want to look at the inherent rating. I'm not going to actually vote. You'll see on the inherent rating, but I do want to see it, and I'm going to actually skip the vote on the inherent rating, and I'm only going to vote on the residual rating, but I would like to see the inherent rating. We do, because you can't there's a setting in the database that won't allow the residual risk rating to be worse than the inherent rating. Although there are situations where that can happen. I know we do have a setting for some clients on the database. For example, if you had an exchange rate and you bought forward, that might be a great control, but if the exchange rate gets a whole lot better, then it's not such a good control. So some controls can make things worse, but you'd hope that they wouldn't. I've turned off the values here. You'll see that these are custom fields that I've got on this particular database. I could include tolerance, velocity, volatility, things like that. So I'm keeping it as simple as possible. On the control setup, I've just got the title. If you don't select, things for the workshop, then you basically fill in the value that you would like defaulted behind the scenes, because you're not including those fields in your workshop. Contributing factor. Again, you see I haven't included a category and subcategory, so I've just included what the default is there. Action plan setup, I've just kept that as simple as possible. So if I go to the main screen, I'm going to actually I'm going to make this vote active, and I am going to allow voting devices. As I say, I've got some voting devices here. At the end, maybe I'll just put my camera on and try and show you a voting device, or little keypads. I'm going to now save and close that. So essentially, I've done step 1, configure the workshop. Okay, save and close. You can then, I'm going to actually start this workshop just here. I mean, I'm not actually starting it. I'm just going to import the data. So I'm still online, but I'm going to import my existing risk register. So that risk register that I showed you, I'm right-clicking on that, and it is now importing everything that's in this particular risk register for that ABC12 where I've created the workshop. I'm going to include the ratings, the existing ratings, and I'm going to click on import. So now if you looked at this workshop, you would see that I've got all the information in there. I'm going to actually save and close that. I'm still online. I'm now going to move to the next stage, which is I'm going to take this workshop offline. So I've actually checked out, there are different orders that you can work in, but I'm going to actually go out of here, out of the database. I'm going to go back to BarnOwl, or back to the icon, and I'm going to click on this synchronization wizard, basically. And I'm going to now take this online database, which is my ABC database. It asks for user, because I'm logged in with NT authentication or with my Active Directory, I don't need to put a password in. So my live online database is that BarnOwl Evolution ABC. I want to take that to an offline database. Now, you would have to have, most of the audit clients all have an offline database, which operates on SQL Express. It's like a free version of SQL. But if you are going to conduct a workshop, it's just the administrator would need the offline database and sitting on the local C drive. So this is sitting on the network, and the offline is sitting on my C drive as a SQL Express. We could help you set that offline database up for those administrators. I'm not doing audit here. I'm doing risk management, and I want to include you probably don't need to do that. I'm not going to untick some of this, but you probably don't need to tick those 2 options there. It's more if you want to work in your risk registers offline. Next, and I'm going to now just say, look, I'm only interested in ABC12 and only in the parent unit. That's where I've got the workshop that I'm busy, that I've actually initiated. You could actually take this whole database offline, the ABC12, first, and then create the workshop. So the order doesn't have to be in the particular order that I'm showing you, but I do think this is the most logical order, where you kind of prepare your workshop online and import the risks, and then you take the workshop offline, and now we're ready to go to a conference room and work offline. So I'm going to close that. Now you'll see that when I go back here, I'm going to now open the offline database. So I'm now working directly off my C drive in the offline database, and you will see that I've only got ABC12. And if I looked at the risk register, it's brought through, the standard. I've still got all my favorite views there, for example. So it's brought through, the economic risk, the one that I went through just now. It's brought through because I ticked all these things that I wanted. This is the standard risk register, but in the offline database. I'm going to close that. I'm now got all my participants for the workshop have arrived, and I want to actually start this workshop. So I'm going to view the workshop. So this is really conducting the workshop now. So there's the workshop, and I'm going to actually start the workshop. So now we're all sitting in a room. the first screen that's pops up is the objective. You must have at least one objective, even if it's a dummy objective linked. And if I click on the R, it takes me to the risk register. The window splits. If you look down here, you can. This is like a flat. The top part is like what I'd call a flat ridge. So it's not, you can't drill down into the contributing factors and the controls. But down below here, you actually can see the structure, and you can actually click on this little thing here, which then basically shows you all the details. It does get a bit busy. You can also navigate by just double clicking on one of on the pane below. I prefer to just use the top pane. So let's just say now that we wanted to vote. I'm gonna add a new risk just now, and I'm gonna add some additional information. But I'm gonna show you. Let's just take market risk, for example, and you'll see there's the current inherent rating. So you can't see the colors when I'm on it, but so inherently 5 and 420, and it was rated a 4.2 and a 3. So I'm going to actually click. You can either, you see these little buttons here. I could either fill these in directly, if we have consensus voting. So I could choose something there. I'm not going to in this case. I'm going to actually use the keypads. You can either vote down, which doesn't really make sense. In other words, down the column, or I'm going to vote on the market risk. So I click on that little, what looks like a keypad, and it says to me, we can discuss the risk. We've got, you got the description. You've also got the ability to see what's linked to this risk at the moment. I don't want to vote on the inherent risk rating. Yes, so I'm just moving to the next. I don't want to vote on the inherent likelihood, but I do want to vote on the residual impact and the residual likelihood. So I'm actually going to, now I've got 5 keypads here. They would all be given to individuals in the room. Each of them has a serial number on the back, which you could actually put someone's name against. It's still, even if you put a name against it, it is still anonymous because no one knows what you voted. So it's really useful. So I'm going to, as the organizer of this, I'm going to start the vote, and I've got the keypads here, and you will see that I'm now voting on a range of 1 to 5 for what I believe the residual impact is of this particular risk. So these are 5 keypads that I've used. I'm now going to say, okay, we happy that you can see how many have come in. You know how many people are in your workshop. I'm going to stop the vote. Are you sure you want to stop the vote? Yes. Now what it shows you is it shows that one person, you don't really get half people here, but the grid for some reason has got half, it's the number of people on the on the vertical axis, and it's how they voted is on the horizontal axis. So you can see that one person voted a 3, 2 people voted a 4, 2 people voted a 5. The average at the top here is 4.2. Now, what you can do is have more debate around this risk. You can actually then vote again, reject the vote and vote again, or re-vote on the item or reject the vote. But what is quite nice, if you've got 10 people in a workshop and you see that one person has voted a 1, which says very low impact, for example, and nearly everyone has voted a 4 or a 5, you can have more discussion around the understanding of what that market risk means. So I'm going to actually accept this vote. I'm going to say, yes, we accept that vote. And then now we're going to vote on the residual likelihood. So again, you can always see the detail here of what you might already be linked to, like the controls that you've got. And I'm going to actually start the vote on this. And so I'm now picked up the keypads again, and I'm going to vote just randomly 5, and someone says 2. So if I vote out of range, you'll see that it goes red. So whoever then votes out of range, it's red. Those colors that you see on the vote there mean nothing. They just, if I vote again, for example, you will see that that I get. It just you can see it up on the screen that my vote has been registered. So I'm going to stop this vote now. I've got all the votes in, and you will see that 2 people voted 2, which means that it's unlikely, and 3 people voted 4. So the average is 3.2. So we could have more discussion around that. So I'm going to then accept that vote, say yes, and you'll see that there's the 4.2 and there's the 13.4. Now I can go here and I can actually click on these charts while we're about it. So now it's showing me essentially inherent rating versus that's the new one we've just voted on. So you can do things, you can within the workshop look at basic charts. I mean, they're not heavily complex charts. We've obviously got out, once you've updated all these results, we've got all the Power BI reports and that, but there are enough charts here to be able to see what is going on. This one is quite useful. The current versus, so the current residual rating is what is in my database at the moment compared to, so at the moment, the current rating, I can't quite remember which way around it is now, but the workshop rating is 12.6, but what is in my database when I imported the ratings was 13.4. So you can actually just within this go and have a look at a couple of these charts to discuss them further. Once you voted on all the risks, then you would see what you got. If I just expand market risk to contributing factor, and I just go to, let's say we've got a control here. Let's look at the control. That's a contributing factor. I could, for example, if one of the contributing factors changing consumer preferences, I just want to show you how we add a control. So you could search the existing database. Even though I'm working offline, it's pulled through my library of risks and controls, across the whole, even though it's only ABC 12, it's pulled through for the whole database, it's pulled through the library. So changing consumer preferences, we need a control that says explore or survey. Let's say maybe that's more like an action plan. Changing consumer preferences, market survey, control, and we just say that. Now, again, I can actually go and do a vote on the market survey. You wouldn't really vote yet because it's a brand new survey, but I can then, it saves automatically. So if I go back now to contributing factors, you'll see if I click on the control, that market survey is there. Let's just say I now want to add an action plan there. I'm just going to add an action plan. And now, please, sorry, let me just do that. Please conduct a market survey for consumers or something like that, a consumer market survey. And I'm just going to add myself to this as the owner of it. So you can actually add owners. I just want to put an end date there and say that must be done by the 31st of March. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now, this action plan has not gone live. Nothing will go live until you actually close the workshop and until this action plan is actually finalized and accepted. So it's quite easy. If I also wanted to, let's just say I want to remove a risk, or you can either remove the risk from the workshop. That's not deleting the risk. Well, it is. It's removing it from the workshop. But you can also here flag the risk as deleted. So I could say. You see it takes it out, but if I just click on this little plus, I mean, we have documented all of this. You can actually see that at the moment, I've actually flagged the regulatory and compliance risk for deletion. You could, I think it's a toggle. Let me just see. Yeah, no, that's not. I could then, if I thought, oh hell, I made a mistake, I want it back. Are you sure you want to? It's now. It's now back. Just hang on. I think just bear with me. Yes, but either way, that I think it's a toggle. It's a bit confusing, but it's now not marked for deletion. I'm going to leave it. I'll mark it for deletion. We can actually click on that, and I'll show you at the end what it looks like. So I'm actually going to click on that, and so it hasn't been removed from the workshop, but I'm saying eventually I want it removed from my risk register. So just to recap, what I've done here is we've actually voted on the market risk. I showed you, and you would go through one by one and vote on these risks. You can go into the contributing factor, for example. I can't remember. I think it was on the market risk one. I added there was a changing consumer preferences. We added a control called a market survey. We've got an action plan here. As I say, you can also look at it, down below. You've basically got a trail of what's linked to what, but a lot of people like using the navigation at the top here. So I'm going to carry on. So we've made a change to the market risk rating. We've also added a control, and we've said that we want to actually I don't know why. Just hang on. Sorry, I keep these toggles. I think we wanted to delete that one. Are you sure you wish to flag this item for deletion? Yes, I do. So you could do all your charts. I'm now going to view the workshop results, or we have basically viewed the workshop results within the workshop. We've got this kind of results. I'm going to actually save and close this workshop now. You could still do, I have not closed the workshop, I just saved it. If I right click on it, just to give you an idea, we can actually view the results in a slightly different kind of way. And you will see that I haven't closed this workshop yet, so you could still do this in a workshop environment, but you can see that market risk has changed. And so I'm now, it's now telling me that I voted, something has changed, in the residual impact and the residual likelihood. I can actually double click on the actual, even afterwards when the workshop's closed, you can see how many people voted what. Again, it is anonymous. You can also see that this control has been marked for deletion. If I just expand this, you'll see that I added a control called market survey. That's why there's a plus sign there. And if I expand that, you'll see that I've also added an action plan called please conduct a market survey for consumers. So this shows me what we've got now. And there's a report, that you can click on a standard report, and it exports into Excel. You can also export this register. You can also see the charts in here as well. The same kind of charts that we had in the workshop are available on the outside the workshop. If I now click on this, so now I've finished the workshop. And I'm still working offline. You could now synchronize back online, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, um, I'm still working offline. I'm going to actually accept the change, that voting change. By the way, you can always click on the RM. It gets a bit hectic. This is showing me what's in the risk register. The W means the workshop fields. The ones that don't have a W are the ones that are in the register. So if you had a look here, right at the end, you'll see that the residual impact is 4. The workshop was 4. The residual impact was, on this one. So I just want to move to that one. That was, I'm going to make those a little bit wider. 4.2. It's 4.2 there. It's 3.3 there, or 3.00, and 3.2 there is my new workshop one. So it just allows you to see what the changes are. I'm going to actually tick to say, yes, I want that control. Yes, I want that extra action plan. And actually, yes, I am going to actually remove regulatory and compliance from my risk register altogether. So now if I close this, close the workshop, you'll see I can't save. I close the workshop. Now, once the workshop's closed, you can't open it again. So now I've closed it, and now I can save it. By saving it, it'll update the current unit with the selected items. So with whatever I've ticked now is being updated to my BarnOwl risk register, still in the offline mode, but it's now almost as good as live because it's now going to update the risk register. So if I just close, that's a different close. If I now look at my risk register here, I'm still in offline, you will see that that one risk has gone, that compliance one. I just want to apply a favorite view. You will see that market risk, that changing consumer preferences, there's that new control, and there's that new action plan. And you'll also see on market risk that it would have the 4.2 and 3.20. It's got the latest ratings, the way I rated it in the workshop. So it has removed the risk. It's added a control and an action plan, and I've voted on those particular whatever risks I wanted to vote on. So we've now accepted and closed the workshop. And very simply, I'm now going to synchronize. If I went back to the live, so I'm in my offline database, just to give you an idea, I'm going to log on to the live ABC database, and I've got 2 instances open. I wouldn't recommend this, but it's for demonstration purposes. If I view this risk register, because this is still the one that's in the live, you'll see that there's still a market risk, there's a regulatory. If I expand market risk and changing consumer preferences, we don't have that new control in there. So I'm just going to close this. I'm going to get out of my live database. This is actually, I'm going to get out of all the databases now. It does always, because you're working in an offline environment, it can back up your database. A lot of the auditors use that a lot. If something happens or the notebook gets stolen, you've then got a backup. Obviously, you must back it up to the cloud or your OneDrive or something like that, but you have got a backup of all the work that you've done. I'm now going to open this, and I'm going to synchronize the offline database back to the BarnOwl live online database. So I'm going to again click on that. And I'm going to say the data source now is offline. That is the source. And I want to go to an online database. You do have what's called these BTF files, BarnOwl transaction files, where, especially on audit, where you've got very, very slow connectivity, you would rather backup or do this synchronization to a BarnOwl transaction file that can then be copied across to the server and synchronized there. But for workshops and something really simple, you can go from offline straight to the online database. It then says which database. I choose a database and I say I'm going to just include the transaction logs. I don't quite, Ali would be able to explain to me what that does. I don't quite know. Actually, I'm going to maybe turn them off. Next. So now what it's doing, it's quick as well because it only takes the transactions that have changed. And I'm going to close this synchronization and I'm going to open the live database. You see there, it's back. We're back now live, back on the server. And let's see if those changes that I made based on the workshop have come through. And if they haven't, I'm going to run away. But I'm sure they have. So you will see if I just put this favorite view in again. I like my favorite views. You can drag and drop fields and create favorite views. You will see that that compliance risk has gone. And you will see that under changing consumer preferences, there is the control title, market survey, and there is the action plan. Now, this action plan, because I saved it and synchronized back to my live database, if I go to my BarnOwl Eclipse, which is really where we, maybe I've got it open already. This would need a refresh. I've got it open twice now. But if I just go to my action plans, because I put myself as an owner, so if I go to action plans, I should see that action plan, and there it is. It's please conduct a market survey for consumers. So that has been allocated to me, and then as the owner of the action plan, when I start working on this action plan, I would say, well, I've now started it. I've done phase 1, save and close kind of thing. And I mean, as you guys know, you can maintain action plans on the web, but also on Rich. But it's designed. Action plans are available to everyone in your organization if they're an owner. And what's really nice with action plans is, don't forget, you can always see the history of an action plan. So you'll see, for example, that this percentage complete was, if I just drag this out a little bit, the previous value was 0, which means not started. The 1% means it was started, and I can actually see the progress notes and everything. So that's pretty useful. The other thing I want to show you, one other thing, if I can get there without this getting in the way, is if I go to the workshop here, you'll see it's updated because I don't forget I'm in the live database now. But if I look at that workshop register, that's the one that I first created. You'll see now that it shows a status of updated. Updated means been updated to BarnOwl. But still, even after the workshop, I can right click on that. I can view the results. So I can go like this. I can view the results. And what's really nice is it still keeps the chart and the history of how many people voted what. So it's got the full history, and it shows you what risk was removed. So it's got the whole history of the workshop that you conducted, what was rated, and what the spread of votes was. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I think I'm going to ask Cheryl to open the floor to everyone for questions. So I'm going to stop sharing and put my camera on. Obviously, I haven't been looking at the chat group, so I think if anyone would like to ask me questions, I see you still muted. I think Cheryl will unmute you now. You can put your, yeah.
Yeah, everyone can unmute themselves. You can put your hand up and go for it.
Rashan?
Thank you. Good morning, Jono, and thank you for the presentation. Jonah, some time ago, a couple of years back, we started looking at using the presentation view, but we didn't take it offline. So when I was navigating the space, it was taking a bit long and tedious for a workshop period. So, we have multiple risks in a risk register. It was taking some time. So I see, you navigating through the space offline. It seems faster. Um, did you only test it in a sampling like this, or did you do like a real live situation already?
No, I think a lot of our clients have use it in a live situation with a lot of risks. So I certainly know Cashbill's one of our clients that use it extensively. So, but they always do it in an offline environment. We could do, I think after this, if you're battling and if you want to try it, and you let us know how many risks you've got, we could test it out. But it'll be pretty quick offline. Your network is always a problem in all in almost every organization. So that's why offline works well.
Yes.
Does that answer your question,
Thank
Rashawn?
you, Jono. Yes, it does. Thanks.
Thanks. Pearl, I see your hand is up.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Mine is specifically on the keypads to say, okay, we don't have keypads to start with, so I'm curious as to where and how we can get those, and then to just find out, is it possible for participants to really participate in the workshop without those keypads? Or is critical, there's no way you can participate in a workshop without keypads? Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's a good question. So you can participate without keypad. It's not nearly as much fun. So the way you would participate in a workshop without keypads is that you could, with consensus, the facilitator could say, well, how do we rate all these? And then you come up with a particular rating across the group, and the facilitator just puts that rating into the value on the workshop. The keypads, you can send us an email either to Cheryl or support@barnowl.co.za. That's our help desk. And we would put you in touch with David Wilson at Participate. So those are the keypads that we've integrated BarnOwl with, and they can either be rented or they can be purchased. So, but please send us an email afterwards, and we can put you in touch with that, and you can just see what they cost and whether they cost effective for you. They should be. They're not that expensive, but it is a lot more fun having keypads in a workshop than just having a discussion. Thanks. I hope that answered your question, Pearl. But we'll just please send us an email. We'll
Thank
put you
you,
in touch.
Jonathan. It does answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Are there any other hands up? I don't see any, and I'm just trying to. We've got a good turnout today, which is great. Andrew, I see your hand is up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. So thanks, Jonathan, for the presentation. I think my question is just to see what's the actual difference between the workshops and the other surveys that we send to our stakeholders. So we're looking at how do you interpret the results, but also how do you move forward in terms of implementation? So just an overview of that.
Andrew, sorry, won't you just repeat that? So, well, I think I understood. Carry on, Andrew. Just please repeat just one more time for me, please.
So I just want to understand the difference between the surveys that we send to our stakeholders. So looking at the general surveys, maybe based on a certain regulation that is there, but also to the workshops that are here, but also maybe a recommendation in terms of which one is better in terms of the results and the action plans.
Okay, that's a good question. So the risk and control self-assessments you can send out quite easily from the system. The drawback, well, it only shows the user what risks and controls or checklists, it could be surveys as well, that are there at the moment in the risk registers or in the survey, for example. So you can't the user can't add new risks or new controls. So, so it's more an individual rating of risks and controls, because now I get sent a checklist or a risk and control self-assessment. I can then fill it in my own time. I'm working remotely. I'm not sitting in a workshop. So the value of the workshop is that it creates a discussion around risks and allows people to actually add new risks and new controls. When I send out this presentation, I'll send a link to the risk and control self-assessment functionality as well, because we've got a tip of the month on that, and you can just have a look at how the two work. I hope that answered your question, Andrew.
Yes. Now as a follow-up, so how do you now have the view holistically now, what you have added, but also what's there in the elixers? Is there a way to have a holistic view of all the risks now and even the changes?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So you would. I didn't quite understand that. Sorry.
Okay, so you have the risk and control self-assessments. Then you also have the risks from the survey. So at what point do they overlap? Maybe to the
Yeah.
present.
The survey is a little bit different. So the survey is almost like a checklist survey that we use a lot in compliance. So there are questions linked to a particular risk, especially on the compliance side. You've got non-compliance to a particular obligation or provision. I don't know if I'm making sense. That's kind of the risk. You can then put surveys or questions against that. So the questions are almost yes, no, do you do this? Do you do that? Almost like a checkbox thing. The risk and control self-assessment is a little bit different. You're actually rating the effectiveness and the adequacy of a control. And if you're doing a risk self-assessment, you're rating the impact and the likelihood. So the surveys and the questionnaires are almost yes, no's with a percentage compliance. They can be linked to risks. But what is more commonly used is the control self-assessment. How do you rate your controls? Because I'm a control owner. Please, Jonathan, rate your control in terms of effectiveness. Do you think it's working, not working? Then at a later stage, the auditors come and check and say, Jono, you're talking nonsense. You said this control was effective. It's not effective. And we did some detailed testing on it, and we find it very ineffective. I think, Andrew, there is a bit of an overlap between risk and control self-assessment, the surveys, and then the workshop is designed more for interactive workshopping. But please feel free to email if I haven't explained things properly, and then we can get back to you in more detail on that.
All right, thank you. I think it's clear for now.
Thank you. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Tafik. I'm not sure, but please go ahead. Your hand was up, but it's Tafik. Are you there?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Jonathan. My question is for risk control and self-assessment and workshops. It seems a little bit like they are similar, just that our workshops are offline sometimes, while the RCSA is purely online. Now, for an organization where you you're still at um, the baby step of risk management, how best do you think this workshop can be fully optimized to get the best out of it? That's one. Two, please, can you just revisit how you navigate to the main workshop and launch the workshop after creating the workshop register from the main BarnOwl software? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to try and attempt to answer that. So you are right with the offline and the online. The workshop can be online or offline. As I say, you normally, and I'm not sure if I'm answering your question correctly, you can import your existing risk registers, and then in the workshop you can add new risks, new controls. The navigation is a little bit different. I think that was around your second question. But it's still the same structure, the objectives, the risks, the contributing factors, and the controls. So I don't know if I've answered your question at all. You might want to send an email, or I don't know if or even put it in the chat group, and one of my team can actually try and do a better job of answering that question, Tafiq.
Yeah, I'll just put it on the chat box and I'll wait a response. Thank you.
Okay, sorry, yeah. I'm missing some of the questions. I'm not understanding all of them. Sorry about that. I see Cheryl, you got your hand up.
Yes, hi. Sorry, I just wanted to run through the chat box. There's a few questions that haven't been answered. We have Alvis who asked, can the system generate reports for audit purposes?
So specific to the workshop, there are you can see the reports or the exports of what exactly happened in the workshop. In other words, what was voted on, what was deleted. But in BarnOwl itself, there are extensive reports around. They're the built-in reports on the risk side and the audit side. And then we've got custom reports that can be highly customized for you using SQL Server reporting services. Those are almost tabular type reports. And then from version 11 onwards, which was probably released about 18 months ago, I can't quite remember, maybe 2 years ago, we include all the Power BI dashboards. So we've got extensive Power BI dashboards. So I'm not sure if that, most of the reporting is done. You go and you run the workshop, you do some basic reporting in the workshop, you can see what's been voted on. But when you want to do reporting, you do the reporting once you've synchronized, once you've got all the data in the database, then we've got extensive reporting in the system, both on risk, audit, and compliance. I hope that answered that question. I'll also in the link put like a link to some of the Power BI, so you can kind of see the reporting. Not everyone is familiar or even aware of kind of the extent of the reporting that you can get out of BarnOwl. The customized SSRS reports are billable. That's our time, but we have a lot of standard SSRS reports, and we also have the built-in reports that come with the system. And then the Power BI dashboards are slice and dice, and they come with the system. You'd need Power BI desktop, but we don't charge anything additional for all the standard dashboards that we've created. So hope that helps.
Okay, sorry, I've got a few more.
Yeah, please go for it. If you don't mind reading.
Lauren James asked, if you bought the keypad, is it also a once-off license or annual payment?
I think it's just a once-off license. It's once off. We actually pay a license fee to Turning Point in Canada. to be able to integrate, but we haven't passed that cost on to our customers. So that it's a once-off payment.
Okay, and sorry, I'm just trying to work through the chat box. I know Lazelle is answering quite a few questions. Tafiq asked, the second question was, the current BarnOwl I'm using has the surveys workshop grayed out. How does he revisit how he launched the workshop after creating the workshop register? I hope I got that correct.
Okay, I think what would be useful there is if you could please send your request to BarnOwl's support@barnowl.co.za with an explanation of, and maybe some screenshots if you don't mind, of what the problem is, and then we can troubleshoot from there. And if we need to set up a meeting with you, we will. So yeah, it's hard to troubleshoot without seeing the actual problem.
And then, sorry, last one, Margaret asked, can you please show us one of the risk reports once the process is complete?
Once a what?
The process is complete.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we could, let me share my screen. I don't know if, yeah, I mean, we've got time. So let me just share my screen. I'm going to go back into BarnOwl here. So they're all the standard reports. I mean, as you know, I don't know whether I'm answering the question there. These are kind of some of the built-in reports, just to give you an idea. The dashboard report is a very useful report because, let me just move this down, because you can, I'll show you the workshop report as well, but I'm just going to click on run an existing report, standard. You'll see here, or let me just create from existing, or create from existing. Next, this report writer, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but you can, choose which tables you want. You can drag and drop fields that you may or may not want, and you can also add all the additional fields that are in the system, that kind of thing. Then I can say next, just give you an idea, and I can generate the, I'm just going to send that to the desktop. So I'm on that ABC 12. So this happens to be just like a standard report that comes out of BarnOwl. There are a lot of reports. I just thought I would but this one you can almost design yourself. I mean, it's, there it's showing you the risks, the controls, the control effectiveness, the residual rating, the action plans. You'll see that new action plan that's there. Please conduct a market survey for consumers. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good idea. You finish your workshop, you can do some basic reporting. I'll show you what that looks like. But it's when you synchronize the results back to BarnOwl that you then have access to absolutely all the reports. I mean, here is an example, just to give you an idea of a standard SSRS report. So if you wanted a report that was highly customized, this is an example of one that is highly customized, or it's a standard one, but it can be customized for customers. I just if I click on the workshop, I just want to show you the workshop. So if I click on workshop register and I right click here and I say view the results and I click on reports. So this is almost like a report just for this workshop. It'll tell you what's, let's just see what it's doing. Generate, save. This was just almost like the workshop. It's pretty useful, but it's going to show you. So I just want to try and move this so it keeps getting in the way. But it's really showing me the objective, the risk reference. It's actually showing me the fields that were included in the workshop, the inherent rating, the residual rating, the contributing factors, the controls, the action plan. That's That's actually what happened in the workshop. Yeah. He even puts that one was in red. Remember, we removed it. So it kind of shows you the detail of what happened in the workshop. But if you want to, as I say, once you've done the workshop, there are so many, and I don't want to get too much into this, but, then you've got your full suite of BarnOwl Power BI dashboards that are now working directly off your risk registers. But as I say, built into BarnOwl, you've got, a whole lot of, like a risk bow tie, for example, I quite like. Generates. Let's see. I don't think I have. No risk, please select the units. Sorry, I don't know why that's not. Maybe I've got Excel open somewhere. I can't find anything. Yeah, I'm not sure. But as I say, there are so many different reports available. I'm doing something wrong on that one. But these are all the Power BI reports, your risk dashboard, all of these are interactive by category, by business units, by inherent residual, rand value or currency value, spider diagram by category, control dashboard, action plan, loss events. We've got so much key indicators. There's a lot of stuff here. And we've got another very extensive dashboard for compliance and another one for internal audit. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Okay, great. Are there any others that have popped up?
Hi, Jono, it's Lizelle. We have quite a few people in the chat just asking what the devices look like. Christo has posted a photo for us, but I don't know if you want to maybe just pick one up and just show everybody what they look like. The voting devices.
I will. I
please.
don't know if the problem. Oh, there you can. When you've got this background. There we go.
Put it in front of your face.
There we
Turn
go.
it around. Turn it
Yeah,
around.
turn it
There we
around.
go.
Wait, there we go. Okay, now I'm
Thank
getting.
you.
Now I'm getting. Wait. I got to do. Can you see it?
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jono.
So it works like that with the keypad of 1 to 10 basically, and then there's for the administrator, there's this little dongle. I don't know. Let me just try to put that in front of my face. There, it's like a memory stick. So this is what then I plug into my USB port and communicates with the keypads. So it's really simple. I know I should have. I'll put a picture in the of the keypads in the presentation actually, because that is quite useful. So Cheryl, don't release version 3 of the presentation. I'll give you version 4 with a picture of the keypad. Are there? How do we get those? So yes, I see it. So please just email us, email Cheryl or email support@barnowl.co.za, and then we will have a ticket for you and we will put you in touch with Participate, which are the suppliers, the local distributor in South Africa for the keypads. And they supply them and you can buy them directly from them or rent them. I think they've still got a rental option, but they're not that expensive. Have I missed any other questions, Lizelle? Are there any, or Cheryl, did you see any? Or any more hands? Someone like to ask a question? So we will post this recording and the presentation. And then please, I didn't understand I didn't answer very well some of the questions, especially from Tafiq, I think. So if you could please just try and document your question and send it to support@barnowl.co.za. That's the best because that's monitored all the time. That's the best. And also someone, I can't quite remember who, had a problem with the surveys grayed out, or the survey checkbox grayed out. Please just send us any problems you've got to support@barnowl.co.za. If there are no other questions, I really thank you very much for your time today. We've had a really good turnout. So thank you, and happy BarnOwling. That's a difficult word to say. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a lovely day. Thank you.